Hi, it's Paul from Unleashed Motorhome Hire. Finally got a little break in the weather this weekend, so just thought I'd take you on a quick tour of the outside and inside of the van before you arrive next Saturday. Show you what's what, and then Jake will be here to greet you and just go through anything you're unsure about. So first of all, when you pick up the vehicle, you'll be handed with two keys. The larger key is just for the central lock-in and the ignition, and the smaller key is for all the other locks on the van. The only other thing the engine key does is the fuel cap, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, so let's begin. So just behind the driver's door, you've got the fuel cap. So the diesel filler is on the top. Like I say, you just need the engine key just to remove that. Fuel does come full in the van, so it just needs to be returned full when you bring the vehicle back to us. Also in here, you've got the AdBlue. With all the vehicles having the new Euro 6 engines, they all take AdBlue. We will send the vans out full of AdBlue, which usually lasts between 2,000 and 3,000 miles, so it's very unlikely that you will need to fill it. If you do get the warning light on the dash, it's an orange light and it looks like a plume of smoke. Just when you next stop for petrol, then if you buy 5 litres, just take the cap off and put it in there. Even when the warning light comes on, it still gives you about 750 miles notice, so there's no reason you should need to do it, but I just like to make people aware just in case. Side of the vehicle, come to the habitation door. On the newer vans, they have got central locking on the habitation door, so when you lock the cab doors, then this door will lock and unlock with it. It isn't 100% reliable, so just please do check that this is locked before you leave the van. You can also lock this with the smaller key as well. Okay, so the small locker behind the habitation door is for the toilet cassette. So essentially everything that you send down the toilet comes into this cassette at the bottom here. To refresh the cassette, if you lift the blue lever, you can just slide it towards yourself. Now, if for any reason you lift that blue lever and the cassette won't come out, it's because the flap inside isn't shut. And I'll show you that a little bit later on when we do the tour of the inside of the van. So you take the cassette out, it's got a carry handle on it and it's got wheels on it. On the sides you'll have what's called an LSAM point. So if you take it over to the LSAM point, then we're going to lift the lid up and undo the cap. When you pour it in, if you hold the cassette like this, once you're pouring it, just put your finger on the blue button there. Just allow some air into the cassette and everything will then come out nice and smoothly. There'll also be a freshwater hose at the LSAM point, so once you've emptied it, you need to just fill it up with water, give it a bit of a swim around, empty it again. Once the water's running clear, you know you've got everything out of the bottom of it. Pop your lid back on and turn that back round, and then this literally just slides into the back into the van there. The chemicals go in from the inside, and again we'll cover that once we do the inside of the van. All the locks on the locker doors of the van, they all operate the same. So if you pop your key in and turn it, the lock will pop out. You then twist it and the door's then unlatched. When you're finished, twist it again to latch it up, put your key in, lock it, push it back in, and you'll hear it click back into place. If you forget to lock it, you'll be pushing it back in and it just won't click back into place. So if that's the case, then you can just bob your key in and then that's good to go. Okay, so this is the gas locker. Inside your gas locker, you'll find your gas cylinder. Now we send those out full of gas. There's plenty of gas in there for a week's holiday. If you do run out, they are a refillable system, and you've got the filling nozzle here. So if you just have a quick look on your phone, anywhere that sells LPG, you can take the van there, connect the hose on, and there's a push button on the pump itself just to fill that back up. But there's no reason why you should need to. Like I say, there's more than ample gas in there for a week. One thing you need to make sure is that when you set off driving, you switch the gas off. And that is the little brass knob on the top of the cylinder. Once I'm done showing the rest of the contents of this, I'll just do you a close-up of the isolation for the gas. Also in the gas locker, you'll find your mains hookup cable. So the hookup points around the other side of the van, and I'll show you where this connects. But the end with the cap on it goes into the van, and the other end goes into the post on the site. Just make sure when you're using hookup that you do unwind the cable off the drum. It just prevents it generating any heat. Again, in your gas locker, you'll find your freshwater hose. So on most of the sites, well, all of the sites, they'll have what's called a motorhome service point. If you've got service pitched, you may have a tap on your pitch itself, but on most sites, it's done via the motorhome service point. So we've got 5 meters of freshwater hose, hose lock adapter and a tap adapter. Sometimes they'll have these on the sites, other times they don't, so we just make sure we've got all eventualities covered. Okay, I shall just show you the gas valve. Okay, so on the top of the cylinder here, you've got the gas valve. It's clockwise for off and anti-clockwise for on. So before you set off driving, just turn that off, and then when you arrive at your destination, switch it back on again. Even if you're just parking up somewhere for the day, you'll need to switch the gas back on because your fridge will still need to run something to run off. Just on the door here, it does tell you that it's anti-clockwise for off, just in case you forget. Okay, at the back of the van, you've got your garage door. So again, these are already unlocked, but if we just twist them to open it, and we can open the door back like that. So in the back of the van, you'll find a set of leveling ramps. They are literally a pair of wedges that you can drive onto, so if when you get on your site your van isn't quite level, you can either drive onto them, reverse onto them, use them both under one side, under the front, under the back, whichever you need to get the van a bit more level. Also here, you've got your outdoor table, your outdoor chairs. If you're in one of the A classes, then there's a full gazebo in there as well. And then there's just a set of ladders here, which are for the drop-down beds in the vans. I don't think you'll need them, but just so you know that that's in there. As you might notice, just with the locks, they can be a little bit fiddly sometimes, and they just need a little bit. You just have to get them in the right position for them to latch back in. Okay, so at the back of the van, we've got dual reversing cameras. So you've got a shallow angle camera, which will automatically come on when you put the van in reverse. And you've got a wider angle camera, which you can use either as a rear view mirror or you know, when you're reversing, just to get a wider view of the area. You've got a 4-tray bike rack on the back, dead simple to use. So if we just lift these up, and then the tray drops down. So these adjust for the wheels on the bike, and if we just press that in, so they wrap around the wheels, lock in place, and then we've got one of these for each position on the tray. Again, take these out, that locates around the crossbar of the bike. They do twist, and we can adjust them on the back here. Wrap that round, pull that tight, and that's all you need to do. When you're not using the bike rack, just bob that back up and pull those down, just to make sure that that can't drop down when you're driving. Okay, so coming down the opposite side of the van, we've got another access door to the garage on the other side there, and then as we come down the side of the vehicle, the white vents are just the vents for the fridge freezer, so you don't need to worry about those. And if we come to here, we've then got the electrical hookup point, water fill point, and in the centre of the two is the flue for the boiler, so again you don't need to worry about the flue. So with your electrical hookup, bring the cable round. If you hold the lever back, and that just slots onto there. The only thing you really need to know about that is when you want to release the cable, just press your finger on that black lever and then give the cable a pull, and that'll release it. To fill the fresh water, just lift up the flap and we twist off the cap. Now literally all you do is offer the hose into the van, turn your tap on and let it fill until it overflows. That's the only way of knowing when it's completely full. Once you're done, bob the cap back on and just push that too. There's also just a little bit of additional storage if you need it, just down there. It's good for boots, outdoor shoes, bits and pieces like that. And then finally, we're back round to the cab area. And I just want to show you that on the motorhomes, your handbrake's actually on the wrong side. So it's on your right hand side rather than on the left as would usually be. All the water from your sink and shower goes into a holding tank underneath the van, and your waste release handle is located underneath here. On the sites, you'll have what's called a motorhome service point, where you'll have a grid that you can drive over to empty your tank. So if you just reach under and pull the handle, you can then see the van will discharge the water from underneath. So just position your van over the grid. Once you're finished, push the handle back in and that'll seal it back up again. So this is the main control panel for all your electrical systems in the vehicle. Whenever you want any power on in the back of the van, we just press this button here. You'll get the orange light on here just to tell you that the panel's switched on. I'll just go around all these buttons in order just so you know what everything does. You won't need them all, but I'll show you everything anyway. So these two here are for your battery levels. You've got your engine battery and your leisure battery. If I press the button once, it shows me the battery voltage. Press it again, it shows me the percentage. Same with the leisure battery, press it once for voltage and again for percentage. The reason why we're not getting the percentage on here is I'm currently plugged into hookup. We can see this little orange symbol that looks like a cable here. That's just showing me the van's plugged in. Now when I check the battery level for the leisure battery, we get this symbol here, which tells me that the leisure battery is charging. So in the top right, we've got our water levels. If I just press this, we get the blue symbol showing at the bottom. That's our fresh water. As you can see, the van's empty at the moment. If I press it again, the symbol turns red, and this is for our wastewater. So that's the water that comes from the sink and the shower. It only shows in third increments, so it'll show 0, 33, 66 or 100. Now when the van gets nearly empty, it's going to start beeping and flashing at us with this blue symbol to tell us that we need to fill up with water. Equally as much, if there's too much wastewater in the van, it'll start beeping and flashing with the red symbol. Now roughly speaking, the waste and freshwater tanks are the same size, so once you've run a full tank of fresh water through it, you need to think about emptying your waste. In the top left is our water pump. Whenever you want to use any water, whether it be the sink, shower or toilet, you need to have the pump switched on. It's good practice just to keep the pump switched off when you're not using it. There's two reasons for that. Number one, if you were to run out of water, the pump would just overrun until it burns itself out. Secondly, every now and then when the pump's switched on, you will hear it prime itself. If you leave that switched on overnight, it's going to prime itself at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So whenever you're not using it, just pop that back off there. Below that is our outside light. That's simply just on and off with that switch there. Next down is our interior lighting. So if I just press that, all the lights in the van will come on. There are individual switches all the way around the vehicle, and we'll show you those at handover. Just worth noting as well that the television is on the same circuit as the lighting, so if you do want to watch the TV, you just need to have the lighting switched on. Finally, at the bottom, this just tells us the inside cab temperature. It's not linked to the central heating in any way, it's just for information only. The easiest thing to do when you leave the vehicle is just hit the master power button, and that'll switch everything off. It doesn't affect the function of the fridge or the central heating, so you can keep those running without the power being on in the back of the van. Your heating and hot water is controlled from this panel here. Whenever you want to do anything, just press the button in the centre. Across the top here, we've got heating, hot water, energy selection and fan speed. To go into one of the options, we just turn the dial until it's flashing. So to adjust the heating, we're flashing on heating, click on the centre button. Turn the dial to the temperature you want the van at and click again. When we go back to the main screen, we can now see that we've got the heating running. As soon as the boiler starts to operate, that will start flashing to show that the heating's working. To turn the heating off again, do the exact opposite. Click into the menu, it's flashing on heating, click again and turn the dial all the way back to the left till it says off. Click the button and the heating's now off. To use the hot water, click into the main menu, go one click to the right so we're flashing on water, and then click in again. So we've got three options here. We've got Eco, which heats the water to 40 degrees. We've got Hot, which heats it to 65. And then we've got a boost function, which overrides everything and heats the water up as quickly as possible. For the most part, you're just going to use the hot. So if we click on that, when we go back to the main screen now, we can see we've got the water on and it's set on hot. An easy way to tell whether you've got a tank of hot water or not is whether this is flashing. Once the boiler's kicked in, this will start flashing to show that the hot water's heating. Once you've got a full tank of hot water, this will go solid. To turn it off, follow the procedure in reverse, go into the menu, into your water settings, turn the dial back to the left and click on it again. Now with this boiler, we can choose to run it off gas or electric or a combination of both. If you're on site and plugged into mains, then we suggest you use it off electric to save your gas. If you're not on site, or you are on site but you don't have a hookup, then just run it off the gas. So to change the energy selection, click into the menu and we're going to go 2 clicks to the right to come over to this symbol here. Click into it and we can see at the moment it's set to gas, and at the top we've got the gas bottle symbol. So we can either run this on a mix of gas or electric, or a partial or full electric. There's only 2 settings that you're really going to use, and that'll be either full gas or full electric. When we're set on electric, you can see at the top the symbol changes from a gas bottle symbol to the electrical flashes. If we click into that, when we turn something on now and come back to the main screen, we can see we've got the water on, but the symbol at the top, rather than being the gas bottle, is now the electrical flashes. When you've got the heating switched on, you have a choice of fan speeds. So if we go into the menu, come all the way over to the right to the fan symbol, click into it, and we've either got eco or high. Eco's fine for day-to-day use, it will heat the van through, but if you do need a quick boost, then you can turn the fan on to high. I wouldn't recommend having the fan on high overnight if you're leaving the heating switched on, because it is quite noisy. On eco you can barely hear it at all. Your controls for the fridge are just along the top here. To switch it on, simply press and hold the button and you'll get the display on like so. The A symbol here means it's running on automatic, so it'll automatically cycle between electric hookup, engine and gas. This here is your temperature. It's perfectly normal that that display goes off when you're using it, and you've just got a little blue LED in the power light just to tell you that the fridge is running okay. If you do get a fault with the fridge, this LED will go red and the display will start flashing at you. To change the power setting, press and hold the square. It will then flash on the A, and we can manually cycle it between different settings. But there's no reason that you need to take it off automatic. If I press the square again, it then takes us onto the temperature settings. We usually find that between 3 and 4 is a comfortable setting for the fridge. If you set it all the way to 5, it's going to start freezing the stuff inside the fridge. So to use the toilet in the motorhome, first, if you lift the lid and then push this lever across here, that opens a flap in the bottom of the toilet which allows the waste to go down into the cassette underneath. Do your business. Once you're finished, press the flush on the wall behind. You will need the water pump switched on in order to flush the toilet, and then when you're done, push the lever straight back across, which will then seal up the cassette. The first time you use the toilet, you're going to need to put some chemicals in. We use the Aquachem sachets, so if you undo the lid and just take one of the little packets out. Open the toilet, push the lever across to open the flap and drop that down into the toilet. Once that's in, just flush a little bit of water down, just so it's got something to dissolve into, and then the toilet's ready to use. Now you don't need to put one of these down every time you use the toilet, just every time you refresh the toilet cassette. Okay, the first thing to remember when you're showering in the motorhome is that you only get 10 litres of hot water. That roughly gives you about 5 minutes in the shower itself. So to use the shower, if your model has the wooden tray in the bottom, then just remove the tray to start with and just place that to one side. Then if we just undo the little popper The screen will come round and that will form the cubicle area. When you switch on the shower, just make sure that the lever is in the 6 o'clock position. The water in the boiler does get incredibly hot. 6 o'clock isn't too hot or too cold. Okay, so the kitchen layouts will differ very slightly between vehicles, but essentially the appliances are the same. You'll have your sink, 3 burner gas hob, and your oven and grill. The appliances are all electric ignition, so if you just switch it into the on position, press and hold it, just keep it held for a few seconds and that will stay alight. With the oven and grill, we turn to the right for the grill position. Again, press and hold it, hold your ignition, you'll hear the grill ignite and then release it. Same for the oven, turn the dial to the left, press and hold it, hold your ignition and then release the lever. The kitchens in the vans come fully equipped. In the cupboards above and below you'll find all your pots, pans, cutlery, chopping boards, knives, bottle openers, bits and pieces like that. As the layout differs slightly in every vehicle, we'll show you that when you come to collect the van. All your windows have fly screens and blackout blinds. Blackout blinds come from the bottom, so just squeeze, lift that all the way up to the top and click it into place. To release, just squeeze again. Now it will bring the fly screen with it, so just pinch this catch here to release the fly screen and then you can take that back down to the bottom. Or to have the fly screen down on its own, just pull that all the way down and that will clip into place. Again, just pinch the catch and that will release there. It's the same with your roof lights. You have the fly screen from one direction and the blackout blind from the other direction. To operate the roof light, just press the button, pull the handle down and you can open that all the way up, or it has a couple of half settings just so you can have it open a little bit. Just make sure before you travel that that is fully latched in place so you don't lose it halfway down the motorway. To use the television, first make sure the lights are switched on the main control panel and you'll get the red light on the bottom of the TV to indicate that it's on. If you take the remote, press the red button to turn the television on. We'll just take it a minute just to fire up. Now every time you change regions, you're going to need to retune the telly. And we do that simply by pressing the orange button in the centre here. So it'll tell us no signal, press the orange button, and it will automatically go through its tuning cycle. In the floor of your van, you'll find a small box. So if you lift the lid off that, in here you'll find all your safety kit. So there's a fire extinguisher, first aid kit, warning triangle, spare bulbs, high-vis vests, fire blanket, and a dustpan and brush. So when you do arrive next Saturday, Jake will take you on a full tour of the outside and the inside of the vehicle. Obviously I hope this video gives you a bit of an insight so you can see exactly what you're doing before you arrive. So it's just simply a case of refreshing you when you get here to pick up the motorhome. He'll also do a damage report sheet with you, so we'll go around the outside and the inside of the van again. If there's any little bits and pieces on the vehicles that need to be noted, then that can be done at that point. Okay, thank you.